Productivity. Everyone wants to be productive. Hence why there's millions of videos out on the topic. Too much information and too many people without the results to bring credibility causes us to be overwhelmed and confused. People say things like, read a book whilst on the treadmill, or listen to an audiobook while sitting on the toilet, as if these are the keys and secrets to high performance. Yeah, that's what I think about that as well. These things might help short term, but are so superficial. I want to go deeper than that and tell you the actions and mindsets that support true productivity that is sustainable. Why listen to me? If you're new here, I'm Anthony and I'm a 4th year medical student. Last year, I achieved top 1% in my exams, whilst balancing this with sports, gym, and hanging out with mates, as well as dedicating my time to the craft of filming, editing, and scripting YouTube videos from scratch. Here are my top 6 secrets that allow me to be productive. Alright, so secret number 1 is a metaphor for doing the hardest thing first. Imagine you're at a beautiful feast and you have to eat a frog. Would you eat the frog at the end, or would you do it at the beginning? Personally, I would do it at the beginning, because then you can wash it down with some good food and wine. And so, in the same way, do your most important task first thing in the morning. I like to call this morning work block my deep work block. So what is the logic behind that? Your brain has a certain amount of capacity throughout the day. It has a certain amount of attention and focus that it can maintain. Have you ever found yourself maybe in the afternoon, maybe 3, 4, 5 p.m. and you're thinking to yourself, I need to do work, I want to do work, but I just can't get myself to do it? The second thing is that in the morning, you have the least amount of distractions. Think about it. In the morning, most people are asleep, especially if you wake up early, say 6, 7 a.m. A lot of people are asleep still. Everything's quiet. You're not gonna get notifications on your phone, people blowing up your phone, texting you, calling you. And thirdly, throughout the day, we have things that come up spontaneously, right? We have things that come up throughout the day, and we can't help that. So if there are important events and spontaneous events that just seem to come out of nowhere, then you can go do it and feel guilt-free about it because you did the work in the morning. Imagine if you just did one hard thing every single day for the rest of your life. Too often we try and overwhelm ourselves with massive to-do lists which we never even finish. Imagine how much more effective it would be to do one important thing with 100% of your focus and attention every day for the rest of your life, and think about how that can compound over time. Secret number 2 is the 80-20 rule, and you may have heard of this already, and I think it's so important that it has to be mentioned, because knowing about it and actually applying it is two completely different things. So basically, if you focus your attention the 20% of most important things, you'll actually get 80% of the results. A lot of people think they can only apply this to studies. For example, applying the 80-20 rule to medical school would be to do question banks, flashcards, and work little and often. But it can be applied to your whole life. Think about fitness, think about the gym. If you just bear in mind progressive overload, getting enough calories, protein in every single day when you're trying to bulk and gain weight, that is 80% of the results or more. And it can be applied to anything in life. Whenever you're trying to achieve any goal, what are the 2, 3, 4 most important things that I need to do in order to move towards that goal? And then forget about the rest. Just focus on these 2, 3, 4 things. My third secret, don't add, subtract. I strongly believe in you can have anything you want, but not everything you want. So we can achieve great things, but we can't be an astronaut and an engineer and a doctor and I mean you could, but that probably wouldn't be very fun. So in order to do anything you want, you have to make a list of priorities in the current season of your life. In life, your priorities and your goals are going to change over time. But right now, think about your monthly goals, 6 monthly goals. Work out the exact priority tasks using the 80-20 rule. Write out the tasks that you need to do every single day that's going to propel you towards fulfilling your goal. And then ruthlessly get rid of things that don't serve you, that are going to waste your time, that are going to be distractions in this current period. It doesn't mean you're going to subtract them forever, but for this current period of life and this season of life, subtract them for now. Alright, so the fourth point, I think this is a pretty unique thing that no one's really talking about, but really helps me personally. Gym/sport first. Say it's 3 p.m. in the day, you think, oh, I could do an hour or 2 of revision, or, you know, I could read a book, or I could do something else useful. Or you could go to the gym and do your sport or whatever it is that you do for exercise. Do the gym or the sport first. The gym and the sport energizes you. Whenever you finish an intense bit of exercise, it makes you feel great. It releases positive neurotransmitters in your brain such as dopamine, serotonin. It causes the release of endorphins, which make you feel good. So this is going to give you more energy to really knuckle down and then focus on your work. Another big thing is, if you leave it till the end of the day, you're much less likely to actually go. You're much less likely to actually do the thing, because it's not easy to push yourself at the gym or to, run 5k. After you've put all that brain power into your work and then you decide to go do the gym, it's a million times harder to motivate yourself to actually get off the couch. You're so much more likely to make random excuses like, oh, I should take a rest day today, or I'm a bit tired today. And actually, that's largely because you've just done really hard things first. So it makes sense to do the exercise first. Productivity tip number 5 is to timetable your ideal day on a calendar. For example, Google Calendar, the Apple Calendar on your iPhone. It sounds so simple and it sounds so obvious to do, but I just never thought to do it. So I block out hours of the day in my Google Calendar with what I'm gonna do. Plan tomorrow today. And you timetabling your ideal day in your calendar, it doesn't mean it's gonna be perfect, because stuff happens that is outside of our control and spontaneous events come up. Your friend invites you out for something and it's gonna be a lot of fun and it'll be a good refresh. So yeah, you should go. But if you just followed this timetable for then about 60%, this is probably still 10 times more productive than your average day would have been if you had no plan, if you just decided to do what you felt like doing. Everyone knows that just deciding to do what you feel like doing isn't necessarily the best plan. You might feel like scrolling TikTok, or you might feel like watching Netflix and just laying on the couch all day. So you shouldn't trust that. You should make a plan and trust your brain. Don't just trust your emotional impulses. Try and plan things out. When you're in the middle of the day and you're thinking, oh, what shall I do now? What shall I do next? Plan it out in advance so you take away that mental strain and burden, so you can just focus on getting the things done. Secret productivity tip number 5, understanding plane versus pilot mode. Think of plane mode as taking action. Think about pilot mode as planning out your day. Similarly to a pilot that sets the destination and plan to reach the destination, whereas the plane is the vehicle that just moves towards it. 90% of your time should be spent in plane mode, consistently doing the high priority actions that are going to actually move you towards the goal. They're actually going to move the needle. 10% of your time should be spent planning. And the reason behind this is because no one ever achieved anything by just planning. The people who achieved things, they took action consistently over time. They didn't just sit there and plan what they were going to do. They just did it and learned along the way. It's like, for example, making your notes all pretty, highlighting them. It's just a waste of time. Focus is everything. The easiest way for me to think about having great focus is to single task. In this day and age, everyone loves to multitask. Everyone thinks multitasking is more productive. Everyone thinks, oh, if I have a laptop open here, if I have my phone here, if I have an iPad here, if I have Netflix in the background, if I'm talking to a friend and I'm doing all this stuff at the same time, oh, look at me, I'm way more productive. I can get way more shit done. But actually, I would argue the opposite. I would argue that you're spending 20% of your energy split across these 5 things, as opposed to 100% of your energy on one thing. Just focusing on one thing at a time is going to give you so much greater results in the long run. It's actually going to allow you to watch a film with your friends at peace, stress-free, and you can actually do that as a separate task in itself, and you can fully be present in the moment and enjoy that. You can fully be present when talking to your mates, your loved ones, instead of being all over the place. Having your brain scattered in 5 different directions is not conducive to results. Cutting out the distractions, cutting out the mindless consumption, the scrolling of TikTok, the going down YouTube rabbit holes, and just focusing on one thing at a time. The power of single tasking is so underrated. Finally, have an extreme bias to action. The best way to learn anything is just to take action. It's just to do the thing. What greater experience are you going to gain than actually doing the thing and seeing what results you get, and then thinking, you know, how do I do better next time? Consuming endlessly is pointless without implementation. It's like just sitting there and flipping through pages in a textbook, trying to read it all and thinking that's the best way to learn, when actually you should be doing the questions that are going to come up in your exam and then learning from your mistakes. It's like with the gym, you're not going to make gains by sitting there and watching YouTube videos on the best workout split or the best the top 3 exercises to boost your bicep growth. It's not going to be better than just making a workout, sticking to it over time and gradually increasing your weight. Find answers through action. Just have that show up mentality. Saying you don't have the tools yet to just take action is just cope. It's just a coping mechanism. It's your brain making excuses. If you're a beginner to something, how can you expect to be any good at the start? You're not going to be good. It doesn't matter how many tutorials you watch. You're not going to be as good as the guy who's tried it 1,000 times and learned from his mistakes. Think like a scientist. They test a hypothesis, they get data, they collect data and results, and then they tweak what they do. They iterate based on the results. Stop procrastinating right now. After this video, start taking action on the thing you've always wanted to do. For example, starting a YouTube channel. Just make your first video. Don't say, oh, I don't have the tools yet. I need to get a better camera. I need to get, lighting. That's all just excuses. Alright, so do the hardest thing, subtract the distractions, focus, single task, apply the 80-20 rule, and take action now. You have permission to click off this video right now and just get started. Once again, thank you for putting up with the waffle. God bless, and let's win together.